In this interview, I mistakenly mispronounced Noah Forman's name as Noah Froman. Apologize for that. Noah Forman's name is Noah Forman. Enjoy the interview. Thank you very much, Noah Froman, for joining me. I don't do too many interviews for regular car reviews, but this one is hard to pass up considering how you've been making the rounds on social media. And thank you for taking the time out of your evening, or in your case, the morning,
Right.
to talk to me. To fill everybody in, Noah Froman is a former New York City taxi driver, now driver for Uber, who set the world record for consecutive green lights in a row within the. Now, correct me. Is it just within the borough of Manhattan or within larger areas?
Within Manhattan, just one check there. Noah Forman, Forman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, within the borough of Manhattan. I mean, I would gladly take NYC as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, Manhattan, we got to put that in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first question being that, we're more automotive journalist reporters, and I've read some of the articles about you. They were quite short. There's a lot more to talk about than simply, what was it like to go through all those green lights?
Right on.
And you're,
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe, man, like every freaking interview. I mean, I love them. I love them all. Well,
yeah.
almost all of them. But every time they come in, they go, okay, we got like a list, a set of questions for you. And we got like four top questions, five top questions. Every single one of them, the exact same questions.
Yeah. What were they?
Oh man, I can't. I got like an email with some of them. Yeah, but it's like, what made you want to do this? I was like,
What kind of a
I
dumb question is that?
don't know.
The next light was green, so I kept going.
I mean, and a lot of them also, the further away they get from the city, um, don't worry about it. I mean, you are awesome. But the further
Mm-hmm.
away they get from the city, it's like they tend to think it's like some sort of fluke. And they're like, wow, man, what a lucky guy you must be. This is like, what? Man, I was talking to, I mean, I probably shouldn't name names, but I was like on some interview and they were like, oh, so who was, somebody was recording? Somebody was recording for you? It's like, no, I just took the phone.
No.
I took the phone, put it in the seat, and they were like, oh, okay, because it sounded like you were talking while you were recording. And I was like, oh, well, oh, what? He was like, well, were you on the phone? Were you on the phone with someone? I was like, no, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. That's why I was talking while I was making a video.
Yeah, you were like, don't you sometimes talk out loud when you're in the car alone?
Or especially when you're making a video,
Yeah.
I just figured since I was recording, I might want to inform people of what I'm doing and but anyway, since that point, I've already edited it out, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to put my dull, boring voice on the thing. Besides, like sometimes I might have said some things that's like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like worried about police here, and I'm thinking like, oh, am I doing anything wrong? And it's like I don't want any trolls to get out there and like freak out.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I live close enough to New York City that I know the theme of driving there, um, and the bicycle messengers. They know about green light waves all the time.
Right. Okay.
The only one time I was successful in navigating Manhattan was on a motorcycle. I had to find the Midtown Tunnel,
Mm.
and what the way I entered it is I just stayed on 78 through Jersey, and that goes through what tunnel? I forget.
We're talking about Holland Tunnel. You did
Yeah, you do.
Skyway and then went into the Holland Tunnel. Is that what you were doing?
Hmm. I guess I
Well,
went
that's probably
underground.
like
They
your
charged me
final.
250. I don't know what they charged me a lot of money,
Yeah.
and I went. and then I popped out and I was in the city, and instantly anxiety crept in. Now
As it would.
I felt, yeah, I felt safe enough because I had this idea in my head that okay, no matter what happens, I'm on a small sports bike. I can get out of the way.
Yeah.
And at one point, this was before GPS was small enough that it could fit on motorcycles. So I had my handwritten directions that were taped to the gas tank of the bike, and I kept looking down, trying to find wherever Midtown Tunnel is. I still don't know. You probably know exactly where it is. But I got lost, rode my motorcycle up onto the sidewalk, and no one batted an eye
Mm.
that I did that.
Yeah, if you're in this
And,
particular neighborhood, people are cool with that. Yeah, Tribeca can be one of those neighborhoods where it's just like, oh yeah, he must work for a dealer or something. That's cool. Let him do what he's doing.
and it wasn't even on where a ramp is for a wheelchair. I just hopped that up onto the curb, just boom 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 boom,
Well, what?
and
Like some crazy like a Ducati or some like big tire or something thing or no?
it was a 1998 Suzuki GS500 motorcycle, which is a little bit smaller. It is a sports bike, although it's a naked bike.
Mm,
Round headlight in the front, no fairing, engine exposed.
mm.
Wheels on the smaller side, but it's light enough that if you accelerate a little bit, the weight transfer will go to the rear wheel and you can get up onto the curb. And I look up, and I'm 1 block away from the Empire State.
Oh,
So whatever street I was on, 34th.
could well, 34th is the Empire State Building. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean either way, probably could have been 32nd or 35th or who knows? Who knows what he wanted. 36 gets really clogged up. It could be like all a bunch of trucks doing delivery.
There was that. There was trucks because at one point prior to that, I was first in line
Yeah.
at a green light. And when that light turned green, I tacked it up, dumped the clutch, and just shot in front of everybody. And for this one moment, I don't know if it's a Woody Allen moment or whatever, but I was alone in New York.
How
Like before that wall of yellow Crown Victorias and box trucks caught up to me,
hmm
I was all by myself, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's
You would love
go ahead.
this. You would love this whole thing that I do. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, 'cause like in the middle of the day, and people say it all the time, you know. They told me in did they tell me in taxi school or they told me in there was another spot where it was like there's all this taxi stuff, and then I think about in the next year they have a probationary class, and this guy talks to us who knew driving way back in the day when New York City was a crazy place, and like from 50,
Was that the 70s?
yeah, 70s. He gives you tips and tricks, and shoot, what was I saying? Oh, he just had that one line where it was like, okay, how many of you drive in the day? Okay, how many you drive at night? And he's like, yeah, it's a completely different city at night, isn't it? It's like, I mean, other than the safety aspects and all of that, it's just so cool. Like, if you want the city to be completely yours, um, you drive at night and then you get like all this space to yourselves, and then you get to see that thing with the wave, with the green lights just going one after the other. It's especially on a motorcycle. I mean, I'm not a motorcycle driver, but I got a friend who did that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
He started he took a course or something to be a mechanic and started working at the Honda motorcycle dealership over here, and then immediately realized
Mm-hmm.
the cost of living is way better elsewhere. Moved himself
Mm-hmm.
to Denver. He told
Mm.
he told me a story where he was, and he's crazy, he's a nut job, and he was going up, I think 8th Avenue, and I think he pulled something where he must have found a bump. I mean, there's bumps everywhere, so
Yeah, there is.
you gotta be very uh, aware of that on that motorcycle. And so I think he found a bump on 34th Street and 8th Avenue by Penn Station, wound up flipping, sideways and scraping his knee
Oh,
and bumping into a truck. And, he just walks away from everything all the time. But
no.
yeah, motorcycle.
I think as far as the five boroughs go, a dual sport would be much better. One of those dirt bikes that is also street legal with the turn signals, because those things, some of them have as much as a foot of suspension travel.
Oh,
So if you hit a bump, whatever, it's made to be driving over logs.
I
So
see.
I saw a few guys on bikes in the few times I'm in the city, and they all choose the motards. You ever run into these guys?
What's a motard now?
A motard is a dirt bike with street tires on it. The tires will look surprisingly small because the forks and rear swing arm are so long.
Mhm.
These are these guys who you see in the videos around Baltimore popping wheelies for block after block after block.
Yeah.
Those.
I had a day where, it was right around this whole area. There was a news segment where I don't know, it was like an entire day where all the bikers with quote unquote illegal bikes, maybe most of them were illegal, but some of them were legal, and they all just went in from Brooklyn or something, and I don't know, there was like some road rage incident with some
Mm,
idiot on the West Side Highway in a Mercedes, and yeah, they didn't take too kindly to him.
no.
And then maybe because of that awareness, they must have all got together maybe a week later and like kind of taken, they all wanted to drive into the city. So I saw a whole bunch in Brooklyn one time, and I don't know, where am I going with this?
Eh, it's the stuff you see because, in addition to being a professional driver, Noah Froman is an accomplished photographer.
Yeah.
And your website or blog is called what?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so I have a blog site. I haven't updated in a long time, but I got some good pictures up there, and it's nyctaxiphoto.blogspot.com.
If they search for NYC taxi photo, will it take you there, or do they need the whole web address?
I think if you search for NYC Taxi Photo, you're more than welcome to find me on Twitter.
Okay,
And
what are you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter as NYC Taxi Photo.
Twitter NYC taxi photo. For those of you who haven't run across his Twitter or other social media, Noah Froman, in addition to driving at night all the time, just simply takes pictures of things he sees. And that's where the intrigue comes. And that's what I'm surprised that no one else in the interviews wanted to talk about. To me, I get very Tom Waits about it, even though Tom Waits was California, or the film noir excitement of what are you going to see in those cliched scenes of the steam rising from the manhole cover, and what kind of depravity or oddball things. I mean, really, if I had my way, do you have some stories lined up or images or moments that you've seen?
Man, like they've been buzzing through my head for days, and of course, I'm always afraid. Like now that we're talking, I'm like, shh, what am I going to remember? By the way,
Okay.
let's think about for 1 minute, just for one thing. Okay, so just last name Forman, so Forman. You've been saying Froman.
Foreman?
Yeah.
Froman. Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
So it's Noah. Yeah.
Foreman. Call the foreman
All
over.
right.
Foreman. Noah Foreman.
Awesome. No problem. No
Ah,
problem. And then,
sorry about
yeah,
that.
no, it's cool. Just as long as we fixed it before
Uh,
and wait, what were we doing? Oh yeah, the stories. Shoot. Yeah, I mean, I even have crazier stories that come from things I've heard from other people, like secondhand stuff. Oh,
mm-hmm.
here's a story. Okay. All right. So, I mean, it's mostly like the craziest stories, of course, they come more from my taxi experience because I've been driving a cab in New York since 2005. So, like 10,
Mm-hmm.
11 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, one time we were lined up waiting to rent our cabs. Everybody has a story to tell, everybody says something. So, this one guy who likes to talk, he's, by the way, amazing in that he like lived in Jersey and he rode his
Mm-hmm.
bicycle. He rode his bicycle from the George Washington Bridge down through
Mm-hmm.
Washington Heights, down Broadway, all the way through Manhattan, across the Brooklyn Bridge to get to this garage every day to get a taxi cab. And that's just
Whoa.
insane. And then on top of it, the freaking shift is 12 hours long and he drives a car for 12 hours.
Is that like 15 miles
I
on a bicycle?
I think so. I think it
Whoa.
could be something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Because Manhattan is it 5 miles across?
Hmm. I wouldn't know.
I don't know. I didn't know either.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to picture in my head this route he's taking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he didn't do it all the time, but sometimes he was, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
rode my bicycle. Like, what?
What?
But anyway, so he tells us,
Yeah.
he says, we're talking about taxi garages because we're always thinking about where can I get a better deal? Who's going to be nicer to us? And
Yeah.
he says, don't go, whatever you do, don't go to the taxi garage 2 blocks around the corner. And we're like, why? Is, oh yeah, they're scumbags with the tips, right? You got to like give them tips and then they still give you a junk car. He was like, nah, you wouldn't believe the junk car that they gave me. So he says he says they gave him a taxi van without any doors. And
Huh?
we are all like, no, 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 they didn't do that. You got to be kidding me. And then he goes, no, 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 no. Look, look, look. I got it right here. And then he whips out his phone and he shows us a picture of a taxi cab that he received without any doors on it. And then we're not talking like just, one missing door. We're talking about every single door on the van is missing. And they said to him, they said, no, it's cool, man. It's cool. Just take it to the place. They'll put the doors on it. You don't have to pay for the doors. That we pay for that. That's cool. You take it to the place. They'll put the doors on it. Now you got yourself a taxi cab.
So this is a minivan style or like a GMC
Yeah, that was
express
one of
van?
those minivan styles. Yeah, in our city, right now what we're down to is well at the time they were basically they were all Toyota Sienna with yeah,
Oh.
rear suspension lift and like a ramp in the tailgate for
Hmm.
wheelchair thing. So they're
Huh.
already junk. Even when they work, they're kind of junk because then all of a sudden the way I feel like the way they're gonna drive is not so good. Like, like if you take a turn, it's not gonna be the best because the suspension is a little wonky. It's a little bit higher than it
Mm-hmm.
should be. Since then, I think they've fixed it. It's a little better. The newer Toyota Siennas are a little bit better in those modifications. And now we're mostly doing they are mostly doing Nissan NV 200s, which I'm not a big fan of those either. I had one of those um, where a taxi company gave me one, and they feel brand new. These, the Nissan NV 200s. They
No, I'm unfamiliar. Explain it
they
to me.
look like kind of European looking Nissan vans. They look like some sort of the Ford Transit Connects.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like the Nissan version is a little better than that, but still kind of dinky. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like nice looking on the inside. It's really pretty quiet, but it's got really tiny little wheels. And
Mm.
anyway, so they give me these cars. I wanted them because they're kind of cool. You sit up high. Um, but they gave me one day where when I went above 50 miles an hour, I could hear a clanking. It was a clunk, clunk, clunk. And like, yeah, like
Yeah.
when I accelerated, it started making chunky noises. It actually, like, and I could feel vibrations in the gas pedal and the brake. I called them. I said, I think
Oh.
this is a problem. And they said, no, no, that's fine. Just turn the engine off and turn it on. So they're basically giving me IT advice on how to fix a
Yeah.
vehicle. Turn it off and turn it on again. Um, and then so then when I came back, I told them about it. And I was like, "This is not safe to drive." But yeah, I drove 10 hours with that thing, and that's not fine.
Oh.
So I was just like, "These are part of the reasons why I switched over from taxi to Uber
Mm-hmm.
because I
What has been your what has been your feelings or experience with the ubiquitous Crown Victoria or
Oh
P71s?
man. Yeah, so I don't know. I like yeah, I got a lot to say about that. How do you want me to what angle do you want me to take on it?
Uh, okay, I have. I've only experienced the Crown Vics as P71s, as the police interceptor
Mhm.
versions, because so many people around here in Pennsylvania buy them because they are. There's a lot of detective cars, and you can get them for about 2 to 3 grand. Um, we have for RCR one guy who bought, for reasons I'm sure he can only explain, a used up New York City taxi cab version of these
Ah,
things. Uh, yeah, I guess.
so then he got the
And
long wheelbase version then? Well,
oh, I looked at the pictures. It wasn't. I know what you're talking about. That's like the car service executive one, where you.
the Lincoln Town Car model will say Executive L. But the Ford
Mm-hmm,
Crown Vic is just, no bones about it. They don't say anything. They just say Crown Victoria, but you'll notice that the door may be 9 inches longer. The rear doors are a little bit
mm,
bigger. They swing up. They
mm.
swing out crazy when you pull that little handle. It just you can swing it like a baseball bat. That door, uh, really well.
Were you were you given various versions of these things that you know the different model numbers or model styles?
I wouldn't know those technicalities, but yeah, I started in 2005, and it was all long wheelbase Crown Victorias from 2005 to 2010. I stopped with the Crown Victorias after Hurricane Sandy, which was, I don't
Yeah.
know when that was, 2010, but that was the line for me. I was like, we had a bit of a gas issue, a gas crisis thing happening, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, I gotta find another way. I gotta find another deal on this. But yeah, we had those. They were crazy. They tend to have a lot of. They get like wheel alignment issues. Um, they also were half crazy and half fun with the rear wheel drive. Do they have like a whole LSD thing also going on with that? Like
LSDs were optional. I believe all the P71 interceptors had an 8.8 LSD rear end with 355 gearing. Your Crown Victorias probably would have had 327, or maybe even if it was a civilian regular uh, Panther body, either Crown Vic or Lincoln, it may have had all the way down to 308. I'm not certain. But the police ones were the most aggressive ones, clearly.
aggressive, meaning like better for if like better in maybe traction in rain and snow, or not so much.
Well, that's up to the tires. But I mean, yeah, a limited slip rear would be
Hmm.
better. Although some people would argue that it's good to have a one wheel peel if you're trying to like gradually work your way out of some
Mm,
slush. But it's all down to the rear gearing.
okay.
So the cop cars will accelerate the
I'm
fastest.
sorry. I mean, I know I
Um,
sound like an idiot, but yeah, it's I don't know. Anyway, all I know is from experience, the traction on those was not so good. And I'm sure, of course, the tires were, they were giving us crap tires as well. Uh,
oh, I'm sure. Well, I mean, there's no unless you're taking someone to LaGuardia or something, and they've got eight suitcases in the trunk. There's no real weight over those rear wheels. Those are your drive wheels, and they'll probably
that
spin because your big 4.6 liter modular V8 is in the front, which by the way it itself is a gas hog.
mhm.
So um,
Yeah,
it
the thing.
if
It
yeah
was that weight distribution problem. It was extreme. Like, yeah, it was all good in the summer, and then it was the best feeling in the world when sometimes they gave me a brand new one, and like felt
yeah.
like I felt like super, like I felt like VIP status, like
Mm-hmm.
especially back like in 2010, 2011. They were like brand new.
Yeah, they were still
I
making them.
know, and I was like, now you feel like Superman because it's like, oh, nobody else can get these, but as a taxi driver, you got the new 2000 Crown Vic, and and then you see the little red dot on the tires. They were all brand new, but pretty
Oh,
soon into it, you get they're replacing those tires with some pretty bad tires and all that stuff. But yeah, I had some snow things that were kind of fun. I had some morning trips in the snow, maybe in like 2004 on Park Avenue, where I
hmm
liked to actually. I don't know if my passengers liked it so much back then, but we had like things where like you got to make a left on 86th or something, and I just took it in a way so that I just made sure the front wheels were where I needed them to be and the rear wheels kind of just slid into the proper position.
in the snow.
Or sometimes if I'm by myself and vacant, I just like, I just for fun, I'm like, let's see how quick we can pull a Yui. let's see, let's see if the rear wheels will just do a 180 because that's where I need to go is the other direction. But yeah,
And that's in
those were in
Crown
the old
Vics.
Crown Vics, and then
Yeah.
there were a few mistakes too where I was in the Bronx trying to enter like a parkway entrance ramp, and then all of a sudden the rear kind of slips out from under me, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Ugh.
we're back, all right, good. But
But when the Crown Vic started going away, or you started moving away from them, what did you migrate to?
first we went to Toyota Camry hybrids, yeah,
Okay.
and no, I know.
Eh, just a front wheel drive
Yeah, I
sedan.
know as far as the car aficionados go, nobody really wants that. I mean, it's got the CVT and the smooth engine, but they're just absolutely perfect for the city. Well, they're perfect up to a point. They're perfect for the first anywhere from 60,000 to 120,000 miles, and then after that the battery starts to go and then the miles starts to
Mm,
go back to like practically what you would be doing without a hybrid. So we didn't own
right.
the vehicles, so it was all good for us. But for the people who own the vehicles, they said they have to pay another $4,000 for to replace the battery. So
Oh,
yeah, not so good, I guess, in the long run. But for short term, and if you don't own the car, then you save 30% to 50% on gas. And the other cool thing is on the snow with the hybrids. Occasionally, okay, it was the worst in trying to get out of a parking space because the minute the
yeah.
car finds that it has no traction, wheels just
Yeah.
stop moving. They just stop. They're like, no, no, can't. We're not going to even try. Sorry,
Yeah.
because it's
You can't just do the windmill thing. It's like, look, we're spinning. If you're moving at 1 inch a second, that's
mhm.
great.
It was
You know.
weird. Yeah, whereas the Crown Vic, it'll go until the wheels fall off. But the Toyota were like,
Yeah.
no, no, it's not going to work. So we're not going to give it a try. But the cool thing though in the snow, when you're driving maybe down a hill or whatever, and you're just kind of moving along at a good pace, you can slip the automatic transmission into the B mode, into the braking mode, the engine braking,
Yeah.
and the car can actually slow down without wheel slip. So it was pretty handy, like in blizzards, and you can again start off real slow in a green light on the engine braking mode, and then transition to drive. So it was actually, it was an amazing vehicle. Well,
Hmm. Did you ever receive any all-wheel drive options?
I did not, but I see them
Hmm.
out there. There's just so many levels of taxi stuff, but I could geek out on that forever, but I'm sure that's pretty
Yeah.
boring.
Well, I saw last time I was in the city was for the auto show, and we took two yellow cabs. One was a Toyota Prius, so okay, whatever, par for the
Yeah,
course. And second one was a Ford
yeah.
Escape, which was interesting. So that was an all-wheel drive small
Well,
SUV.
no, it's a front wheel drive. It's
Oh, it
a front
is.
wheel. It's actually a
Oh,
mess. Yeah, I
really?
mean, it's great. Again, just like the Crown Victoria, it's very good for normal driving situations because you're up high, so you can see good traffic perspective. and you got big tires. So when you hit curbs and bumps and all that, your tires will be fine no matter what. And I found that the wheel alignment was always good in that car as well. Um,
Hmm.
I had a really bad deal. That was like the last taxi I drove was that Ford Escape Hybrid. And
Really?
yeah, but
Really?
it was
Huh.
old. Like this guy had it he had it was in its third year, and in New York City the third year or the fifth year or whatever is the last year you can have it. It was at 450,000 miles on that car.
Wow.
And
And that's just within the five boroughs rolling around. You can rack up those
yeah,
miles.
it was I think it was in his fifth year, and he was trying to get the last little piece out of it that he could. And the AC was weak, and I was telling him, "Are you going to get the AC fixed?" And then the hybrid was good for me, but for him it was bad because for some reason in the heat, when the summer comes out, and in the heat in the day it didn't work, but in the night it worked fine. Anyway, I found myself
Mm.
multiple times where it said it was stopping. There's some sort of electrical wiring problem, and then I picked up somebody at JFK. We're driving this like old couple from JFK to Manhattan. They came from LA. And these poor people, I'm on the Long Island Expressway, and then I see it saying, please, pull over the vehicle. Like the dashboard's like, pull over the vehicle, please. And I'm like, I'm on the highway. Oh, okay. So then I'm on the shoulder, I'm putting the flashers on, and then it just like keeps giving me little bits and pieces where I'm allowed to start the car up, and then eventually it just wouldn't even let me start the car up, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
no.
like, I'm on the Long Island Expressway. People are going 70 miles an hour, and I'm stuck on the shoulder. And
And you got these old couple in the
they're afraid
back.
they're not going to get to Manhattan, and it's like, oh, worst taxi trip ever. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
eventually, fortunately, we were able to get to a point at the exit ramp. This, mind you, this took about,
So the car could move again. You got it to
I
move
kept
again.
giving it a try, and it took about maybe 45 minutes or an hour of my time. And all the time, I was also calling the owner, being like, so what are we going to do? Are you going to call somebody? Are you going to call a tow truck? What are you going to do? How are you going to take care of this? Um, anyway, after 45 minutes, I finally managed to get up enough, move it enough to where it got to the the top point of this hill on the exit ramp, and then it was able to roll down and roll off the highway. And
In neutral.
even while it rolled, yeah, in neutral, it wasn't very happy. It didn't really want to roll in neutral either. Like it wasn't happy about it because again, it was like this hybrid technology, and it was trying to brake while it was I don't know. And I did call the police too. I said, like if I'm stuck on the highway and you guys might have to push me off. And then eventually I found myself off the highway, and I called them again, and I said, okay, you can cancel that order.
Yeah.
That,
So I'm trying to understand how you got it move again. Were you turning the key completely off and then turning it on again to see if it reset the system?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I had to turn it off.
So just 45 minutes of that, turning it off, turning it on, and seeing if it'll let you move the vehicle?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it was all because, I mean, there's some sort of wiring failure. I think it was because somewhere he went, some mechanic put the wires in the wrong place, and it confused the entire system or something.
Hmm. Now,
Anyway,
after these stories, you're. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
that was kind of the line that was like, this car is no good. And but yeah, another thing, it's front wheel drive, and I saw somebody similar to me. I had a Toyota Camry yellow cab. These things have excellent traction in the snow, because smaller tires in the snow are better as well. And we're both front wheel drive, and he's got big tires. And I saw him going to Newark Airport. We're entering Newark Airport on the ramp, and then he's on a snowbank. He just it takes a slight right turn, and his car did not go right. His car just went into the wall. And I
Oh.
saw him 5 minutes later. We dropped our passengers off at Newark Airport, and I looked at him and I chuckled, and he looked at me and chuckled, and he was like, wow, man, that was crazy. And I was like, car's all right? And he was like, yeah, it's fine. It's just snow. So like snow patted the car. The car was fine, but yeah, the car drove into the wall. Um, so yeah, note to self, yeah, that car's front wheel drive has got big tires, not so good in the snow. But you can get all wheel drive on it. Um,
Hmm.
but those are all, especially I think on the hybrid mode back then, those were all front wheel drive. Uh,
Did you, now that you made the move to Uber, are you using, I guess it is true, you use your personal vehicle for it, yeah?
yeah, I mean it's a bit complicated with New York. It's so we're still like, we're all licensed by the Taxi and Limousine Commission to drive in New York City, and then the car has to have taxi insurance, basically. Um,
Mm.
so because of that, it gets all complicated, and it needs to be registered with the Taxi and Limousine Commission. I don't know the first thing about how to jump through all these hoops. So what we do is we find a dealership in this network that gives us the car on this incredibly crazy, terrible price, and but
Oh.
everything's included. So the insurance is included, and the license plates are included, and we just pay one fee. We pay like, well, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it. Should I be naming numbers or not? Nah, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Okay, cool.
Because yeah. It's, are you leasing the car or did you buy it outright?
Um,
That'll answer a lot of
it
questions.
turned into it was a weekly rental, and then I switched it over to a 3-year lease to own program.
Okay, so that makes sense. So, for the rest of us out there, you're leasing a vehicle for some stupid high rate that only makes sense within the five boroughs,
Absolutely.
and that's how it
Yeah.
is.
Now I
Um,
did hear that maybe in other cities drivers are getting ripped off as well by some networks, but I think in their case especially, it's completely insane. And all they need to do is
mhm,
just go to a dealership and buy a normal car and yeah, get themselves set up with the system. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, the rides are quite cheap, but it's kind of nice to have your own car.
That is nice, and one of the things that customers said. Now, this may not be an LA thing. The very few times I took Uber were uh, Portland, LA, and somewhere else. And coincidentally, they were all Ford Escapes. Every single one of them was a Ford Escape that showed up.
Interesting.
But they were all in the summertime.
Mhm.
But I sort of just answered my own question because I was about to say that, well, if it's their own car, they're probably going to take good care of it. Oh, wait, I know a lot of people who don't do that. And they're not even Uber drivers. So that is no guarantee toward
Yeah,
anything. And my only
I remember that show you did on the this guy came from Texas or something? Like a Ford F-150 with the Uber light on it?
Oh yeah, that was Eric Pedersen's friend who drove him from San Diego to uh, L.A.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a Ford. It was a Ford F-150 Super Cab,
Yeah.
which was interesting because yes, it's a four door, but the rear doors cannot be opened unless they're suicide doors. They can't be opened unless the front driver or front passenger door have to be opened. I'm like, how did they get around the Uber rules? Because I thought they all had to be legitimate four door cars,
Yeah,
but this guy got around it.
that's crazy. I'm pretty sure in New York, I looked at they have an entire New York list. I'm almost certain that did not make the cut as well as the Honda Element. It did not make the cut. These doors because the
Hmm.
Honda Element's like that too, where you have to open you have to open the front door before you can open the back door.
Yeah,
And then the seat belt is like connected to the rear door or something crazy like that. It's like this makes no sense. Other than that, the car is a great car. Why did they do that to the doors? Um,
I don't know. It's like the Chevy Sonic, which does meet everything for an Uber. I mean, it is a small car, but the rear door handles are up on the sill. They're not in line with the front
yeah,
ones, and they're vertical plastic handles that don't initially look like handles. So when a customer or a passenger is coming up and they're getting in the rear, they'll instinctively paw on the door where the handle is supposed to be. I'm like, there's no handle. And there was someone who wrote into the Smoking Tire with Matt Fair who sent a picture, it's out there somewhere, of the side of her car, and she had to make arrows, like cut them out of vinyl and stick them to the car that made a little trail pointing up and said handle here.
Mm.
So they would like their hand would go oh, and then it's up there.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I did notice in the Ford Escapes, all of them, for the tailgate, they have like a little sticker, a little label, trying to inform all of the doormen, like, this is where the handle is to open the lift gate.
mhm.
Apparently, they have, because because there's the handle for the the window at the top, and then the handle for the bottom, so people don't realize like which place the handle is. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like when you could see on rental cars or like rental
Hmm.
minivans, uh, or more specifically station wagons. I think it was Volkswagen who moved their handle. Now, I've never seen a Volkswagen taxi cab ever. Maybe you have, but I
No, yeah,
haven't. But
we got
anyway,
those,
for
yeah, or we had those.
like Passats or something like that.
Um, well, we got a whole bunch of weird things, but way back, what was when did the Jetta come out with the diesels? I mean, okay, I guess the
Mm.
Jettas had a bunch of diesels, but sh- recently,
Well, the Jetta diesel goes back to the 90s in the
yeah,
US. Like in the late 90s,
yeah,
you could get
sorry
them.
about that.
And then before that, you go back to the Rabbit.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, like, more recently, we had, well, whatever, we had there must have been one particular garage or something or two that tried the four-door Jetta TDIs,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't last very long at all. Like, they must have tried them for 3 weeks. I saw them all over the place, and then all of them were gone. But then there were several owners that bought them themselves, that bought wagons, that bought Jetta
Mm-hmm.
TDI wagons, and there are still
Mm-hmm.
maybe like two left of those. And
Huh.
then there's some random people also. There's like two random drivers that are also driving Jetta um, hybrids.
Mm.
And then, as
Huh.
well as that, then there's the green cab. That's like a whole other level of things. And of course, there's Ubers. I've seen Uber VW Passats, and I've seen some green cab Passats. Green cab's basically the same thing. It's like a car service that's also a taxi, but you can hail it outside of Manhattan, but not inside of Manhattan. Anyway, I could go on about that forever, but it's super boring talk.
Uh. From is it just some competitive or different cab company?
It's like well, nothing's about companies. It's always about
Oh,
regulations. Oh, the coolest thing though, the
okay.
coolest thing,
Yeah.
because green cabs are more like kind of like Uber in that most of the drivers wind up just buying their own car and then hooking the whole thing up themselves. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's no medallion system with the green cabs. So, but instead they have to pay, I think at this point it might be a $3,000 fee for permission to pick up in the boroughs outside of Manhattan. And then on top of that, of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's the hack up fees to turn the car into a taxi cab with the light on the top
Mm.
wall and the computers and all of that. But the coolest thing is I've seen like somebody's got a Subaru Crosstrek XV, um, and all of
Yeah.
these cars have to get this standard regulation green paint, but the Subaru,
Yeah.
I noticed the Subaru, he didn't get that. He just got it from the dealer in green.
Huh.
So that was kind of
Huh.
cool. And I think I swear I could have seen somebody with an old BMW 5 Series running around with a green cab as well in Brooklyn.
Huh.
Yeah, so they got all sorts of cars. I saw a Scion XA green taxi as well. I mean, they just,
That'd be
yeah,
tiny.
super tiny. Yeah, uh, and it's all over. They got like Lexuses, Acuras. It's like It just runs the gamut. But also a lot of the old school like 2005 Lincoln Town cars that used to be just car service vehicles. Or they painted it green. Anyway, let me know if I'm probably boring you.
No, no, that's fine. The We're coming up here on an hour. We'll probably wrap it up here within the next 9 minutes. So let's get our plugs out. Once again, Noah Forman, and you are found on Twitter at New York's, or I'm sorry, at NYC Photo, or let's correct myself.
NYC taxi photo.
Yeah. Noah Forman, at NYC Taxi Photo.
Yeah, and I figured now from there they could see the link to the blog if they want to do that. Yeah, that's
Any other plugs you want to do?
oh plugs.
There's no harm in promoting yourself.
Man, thank you so much. I do not think I can't think of anything else I want to talk about. I mean, there's the photos, and I'm sure there's plenty of other stories I got, and I'm gonna hit myself a bunch of times for not saying any cooler stories.
Can people who want an Uber request you directly, or doesn't work
No,
that way?
I don't think. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do it that way. So I
bummer.
also
Because they'd be looking at someone with 10 years of experience driving within the city. So
yeah, and perhaps we can go up an avenue and catch 100 green lights or so. I work with Uber, I work with Juno, and I'm thinking about Lyft, but right now I just work with Uber and Juno. Look for me. I might be out there.
Look for what kind of car?
Oh man, that's another thing. So you know how
Can you say it or
Oh
can't?
no, of course I can say it. But you know how we used to have the Crown Vics, ubiquitous yellow Crown Vics? Now the entire city is flooded with black Toyota Camrys. So that's what I'm driving. I'm driving a Toyota Camry SE, like everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Now
I do have one story. Do you mind if I share that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right,
Sure.
this one time I was driving the taxi cab. Herald Square, 34th and 6th Avenue, 33rd and 6th Avenue.
For our gearheads, what kind of car was
I had the Crown Vic. This is all
Okay.
about the Panther. This story
Yeah.
this story is all about the Panther. I'm correct in saying that, right? Panther body.
Yep,
All right.
you're right. Yep.
So she's standing on the right side. I'm on the left side. This is a 4-lane road, middle of the night, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, dead streets, whatever. Where for a moment it's dead, right? She's on the right side. I'm on the left side. 4 lanes. There's a Lincoln Town car, black car. He's a car service guy or something. He's like beeping his horn at her, and she thinks it's odd. So then she runs across the street into my cab, and she goes, "Hey, can I go to, Astoria?" And then she looks over at him, and she's like, "That guy has creeped me out." So then we head up 6th Avenue, and this is back in the day. So every car on the avenue is either a yellow Ford Crown Victoria long wheelbase or a black Lincoln Town Car long wheelbase. So, and then other than that, it's, everybody else's cars. So I notice he starts following me. He's following me the entire way up 6th Avenue. So then I have a great time, and she plays it totally cool. She doesn't even know what's going on the entire time. And so I just wind up weaving my way, doing a snake, weaving my way through a sea of yellow, because I figure we all look the same. Eventually, he's going to lose me. So I wind up like weaving my way. So we're on. We start at 34th. By the time we get to 58th Street, I think he finally lost me. But that was a fun time. I wound up sort of basically being chased by a Lincoln Town Car, and I managed to lose him by, at some points, I turned off my headlights, and then
Whoa, initial D.
Yeah, man, I did all sorts of. I turned off my headlights. I started using my turn signals, and then all of a sudden, I stopped using my turn signals. I was like, so then I just turn into like the rest of the crowd, and then like maybe he might lose me. It turns into. Have you ever heard about the street games, three card money, three card money? Yeah,
Yeah.
so it becomes a game of three card money on the streets with a taxi cab. Becomes try to find the taxi, try to find the taxi. It's is it under this one? Is it under this one? Is it under this one? So we turn off the headlights, we turn on the headlights, we turn so basically I turn off the headlights and like sneak around one taxi yellow and then sneak around them again and then sneak around another one and then turn my headlights back on. So like we try to and as far as I know, yeah, I think he lost me.
Did did your taxi have the divider?
Yeah, yeah, we had the divider. Yeah.
I wonder. But this passenger, she didn't. She pretended that the person wasn't following, or did she keep eyes ahead? She didn't make any mention
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. I mean, all she did was in the beginning was like that guy creeped me out, and then she didn't notice, or she pretended not to notice that that happened at all.
Ooh. I
Pretty
guess
amazing.
if this is a movie, you do the trope of, well, just put your head down. So they think it
Oh,
was an empty cab.
that's true too. You could do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is
I'm
a
trying to think of other things, but that was definitely a highlight real moment.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. If you were in a Crown Vic, if you were in a long wheelbase one, so it wasn't a police, you wouldn't have the advantage of the 355 rear end. But again, I guess you were more at whim of what the city and the traffic was doing more than really what the capabilities of the car would be.
Mm-hmm. Why was that? For what? More traction for like extra get up and go?
Yeah, more you would have. If your rear end is more aggressive, as in the bigger the number is,
Mm-hmm.
I feel sheepish talking about this, but the ratio of the rear end, like if your rear end's a 308, that means for every one turn of the drive shaft, the wheels will turn, or rather the hubs will turn 3 times.
Okay.
So if you're up to 355, the wheels will turn even more. If you're up to something crazy like 411 or 410, that
Oh, okay.
means
So basically lower gearing, so at a slower speed it could take off faster on torque or something, or
exactly. Yeah, it's like if you had a Crown Vic and they all have 8.8 rear ends, which refers to its ring gear.
Mhm.
Um, uh, the 8.8 rear is used in the F-150s. It's used in the Crown Victorias. It's used in the Mustang GTs. It's
Mhm.
their biggest one you can get before you go to the 9-inch, and the 9-inch is for drag stuff. That's crazy expensive to have a 9-inch. All the bros go, "Yo, I got a 9-inch in my Mustang." It's like you don't need that. What are you, a funny car now?
Man, these numbers is 9 inch.
Nine
People
inch.
freaked
Um,
out when I was in college. Even like I did this because I graduated college in 2007. So I actually was
mhm.
this was in Boston, and I was driving the cab in New York in 2005. So I just came down on the weekends to do that while I was in college in Boston. So I was telling them all about this because it became my thesis project. I was taking pictures out of the cab for my college thesis thing. And but then yeah, then I told them because I thought it was kind of cool. I'm like, yeah, it's a long wheelbase. It's like 9 inches longer. I felt like a dope, you know. Of course, like some girl in the crowd was like, "He's talking about freaking 9 inches," but
Eh,
I'm like, yeah, it's a freaking car. Whatever you're gonna do. Like,
what are you
I
gonna?
honestly, I'd rather not have a long wheelbase because it's it's harder to deal with. But good for the people. Good for the people.
I guess they like it. Yeah, for the airport runs and everything like that. Highway's
Yeah,
not so bad.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Noah. Thank you for an hour interview. This was very informative.
All right, cheers.
When we post this up, feel free when we link you on Twitter. Uh, Feel free to include any pictures you want to in the Twitter replies.
Sure.
This video, if it's all right with you, will go up as an audio form only on regular car reviews, but we will put your Twitter information in the video. In that, it'll be a static video, just interview with Noah Forman and Twitter at NYC Taxi Photo.
Okay, or yeah, do you mind? Yeah, I could do the then there's the nyctaxiphoto.blogspot.com, and
Okay.
then I think I got an Instagram, but I barely use it, but maybe I'll get back to that. And that one I have nah, you know what? Never mind that one. That's too complicated because there's like an underscore in that, so forget it. I'm not gonna get it right. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope this wasn't too much bothersome for you. I hope
Oh, it
you
was
would.
fine. It was fine. Yeah, good.
Cool. Cool. I wish
Alrighty.
I had better. I wish I had more cool stories, but I'm glad I got that one out at least with the
Yeah,
chase. All
excellent.
right.
Well,
All
let's
right.
see.
Good.
I'm going to cut on here and cut on there on Audacity.
All
Have
right. You too. Thank you.